Hello, I hope you are doing well. How was church today? I bring you the second tutorial in the series of tutorials I'm organizing for my students. And this time I'm looking at editing. You remember we talked about Concord in class. And based on that knowledge, we look at how to edit the text. In other words, we look at exam errors in text, and then we try to correct them. In the examination, you will see a text, maybe just one paragraph, but there will be distractors. In other words, there will be errors in it, there are mistakes in it, which the examiner has planted there to find out whether you will be able to detect and identify these errors and correct them. So let's see what this actually means to us. In the examination, you will see a paragraph, as I said. Then the paragraph contains errors. Errors could be on concord, that is subject verb agreement. It could be on punctuation marks, that is whether the punctuation is there in the first place, whether it is appropriate place. There are cases where the examiner can place a punctuation mark somewhere to test whether you're able to identify the correct position of the punctuation mark. Or there could be a place where a punctuation mark is supposed to be, but it is not placed there. And it is for you to know that I have to place this one here. So punctuation marks. For example, you may see a passage without the full stop at the end. You know, every passage must have a full stop at the end. That is maybe what they call end mark. If it is a question that ends the passage, then there should be a question mark. If it is an exclamation that ends the passage, then there should be an exclamation. But if it is just ordinary passage that we see every day, which is not a question or not a question and not exclamation, then it should be a full stop. Now, if you don't see a full stop there, then there's a problem. So you need to supply the full stop. Those are some of the things I'm talking about. Then the use of capital letters and small letters. Sometimes just in the middle of a passage, you see a capital letter which begins a word, but you know that word is not a proper noun or any special noun. So it means that that particular capital letter is not well placed. So capital letters and small letters, check them. Then of course you have concord, subject verb agreement. We talk a lot about this in class, and we discuss a lot of things. We had a lot of exercises. I cannot go over all those things now. I think you have to visit the slides to refresh your mind on some of these things. But at the end of this discussion, this presentation, we will look at one passage where we can see how we can implement some of the things that we studied in class. So concord verb, subject and verb, then it can also be pronouns, relationship between pronouns and the antecedents, him and he, she and her, and all that kind of thing. We saw a lot of this in class. Then tense. Sometimes you see a particular passage is running, it is in the past tense, but then the examiner can, then you see something like a present tense somewhere. If it doesn't fit, it is your duty to change the tense to agree with the dominant tense in the text or in the passage. There could be wrong choice of words. Wrong choice of words linked to, let me say, which could be linked to homophones. You see words, a word which sounds similar to another word, but you know this word is not supposed to be the correct thing to fit into the context. So in order not to make this whole thing look abstract, we will analyze the passage very soon. Maybe let's say, for example, C and C, S-E-E, and S-E-A. So you can see that even though the word appears there in the passage and it had the same sound, the meaning doesn't conform to the whole passage. Very good. So as I was saying, there's a passage here. Let's listen to the content and then let's see how we can analyze it. Addiction among most people, especially the youth, is linked to a disease that affects one's brain. When you are addicted to drugs, you cannot resist the urge to use it, no matter how much harm the drug causes. The Minister of Health, an expert in health, believe that the earlier you get treatment for the drug addiction, the more likely you are to avoid some of the more serious consequences. The number of people in the rural areas who are involved in drug addiction every year are quite alarming. Therefore, the World Health Organization, in collaboration with most health practitioners, need to organize a conference to curb this disease. Now, if you look at this particular passage, you can see that there are a lot of mistakes here. And we are not in a class where I can ask you to identify the errors before we continue. But so I'll just go ahead to just analyze it straightforwardly so that you don't waste too much time. If you look at the passage carefully, addiction among most people, especially the youth, is linked to a disease. See the expression here is linked to a disease that affects once. The possessive marker once is not ONCE. You see, it's not ONCE. Once means like you did the thing once, number of times, but that is not what we are talking about here. Once cloth, once dress, once vehicle, possessive is not the same here. So you see that this word is wrong. Even though it sounds the same like what you are looking for, it is wrong. Okay, when you are addicted to drugs, you cannot resist the urge to use it, no matter how much harm the drug causes. Now, the expression is if you are addicted to drugs, but let's look at this. You cannot resist the urge to use it once, no matter how much the drug, because it's singular here, the drug, it should be causes. The drug causes, not cause, because we must respect the Concord in view of the fact that you hear the fact that drug, which is close to the verb here, is singular. Very good. The Minister of Health, an expert in health, believe that the earlier you get treatment for the drug addiction, the more likely you are to avoid some of the more serious consequences. Now, look at this. Minister of Health. Here you can see clearly that health should not begin with a small letter. I think I mentioned this earlier. Now, then there's a Concord issue here. The Minister of Health, an expert in health. The Minister of Health, an expert in health. The text is not saying the Minister of Health and the expert in health. No. The text indicates that the Minister of Health and expert in health believe. In other words, it's just one person. The text has not indicated that you are dealing with the Minister of Health and the expert in health believe. No. So it's just one person. The Minister of Health and expert. Very good. So believes. If it's the same person, then it should be believes that, not believe that. It should believe that the earlier you get treatment for the drug addiction, the more likely you are to avoid some of the more serious consequences. The number of people in the rural areas who are involved. Here you can see involved. There should be E here. You can see my screen. There should be E here. Who are involved in drug addiction every year are quite alarming. No, the number, I think we studied this in class. The number is, it should be is quite alarming. Is quite alarming. The number, not are quite alarming, is quite alarming. Therefore, the World Health Organization, in collaboration with most health practitioners, need to organize. Here, we talk about this expressions such as in collaboration with, in conjunction with, together with. Be careful. It could be that the antecedent is singular. So therefore, the World Health Organization, in collaboration with most health practitioners, needs, not need. The World Health Organization is a singular concept because it's just a singular entity. It needs to organize conference to curb these diseases. Now, look at this one too. The pronoun, the demonstrative here is this. If this is the case, then the last word here should not be plural. Or that if we have this as plural, sorry, as this singular, then you must change this one to agree with it so that this one will also be singular. But to say this disease is then it's a problem. In addition to that, this passage also needs a full stop. So you can see what I have here, which is a corrected version. Addiction among most people, especially the youth, is linked to a disease that affects one's brain, affects a disease, affects. When you are addicted to drugs, you cannot resist the urge to use it no matter how much harm the drug causes. The Minister of Health, you have to correct it, an expert in health believes that the earlier you get treatment for the drug addiction, the more likely you are to avoid some of the more serious consequences. The number of people in the rural areas who are involved, you need to correct it, not just highlight it, you need to correct it, is in drug addiction every year is quite alarming. Therefore, the World Health Organization, in collaboration with most health practitioners, this basically needs to organize conferences. It should be to organize conferences to curb these diseases. Now, the task is for you to correct the mistakes, as you write the answer back as you write your passage back in the answer booklet. So mistakes will be there. You are asked to copy the passage into your answer booklet. You copy it in your answer booklet. In the process, you correct any mistake that there are in the text. And I think you are also instructed to underline the portions where you made changes so that it will be easy for us to locate your answers and to speed up the process of marking. Very good. So basically, this is it. It is not any difficult thing. It is a matter of just focusing on the text you are reading and then to remember things that we discussed in class pertaining to editing. This editing we are talking about has something to do with subject-verb agreement as we discussed in class. And I think it's not going to be any difficult thing. Now, the next thing I'll talk about is commonly confused words. This is not a difficult thing, but my advice here is that you just write simple sentences. Try to just write very brief. Let a sentence be very brief, and if you attempt to write a very complex sentence and in the process you make a mistake, we penalize you. So commonly confused words, you are given pairs of words, and then you are supposed to use them in sentences to show that you can differentiate between the meaning of the words. This is not difficult. It's as easy as you can remember. Assuming you have something like we talked about this already. You hear something like weather and weather. You're supposed to form sentences to show that you can differentiate between the meaning of the words. This shouldn't be difficult. Weather. The weather is bad. Full stop. I don't know whether you come. Full stop. You do not need to be writing any long sentence, because if in the process of writing you make a mistake, we penalize you. Every sentence carries 1 mark. And if you make a mistake, you may lose half of that mark. Remember that in a writing a sentence, every sentence must end in a full stop. If you write and do not place a full stop at the end of it, it is not a sentence. There are many things I cannot talk about here because I would have liked to teach, maybe to mention them in a classroom where you can see, physically see what I'm talking about. But if you write a sentence and the sentence has no full stop, then you may lose some marks. Now, so it's very simple that you will just write very brief sentences. Do not go to impress anybody. Nobody is interested in your long sentences. For example, we had an example in class. Site. SIT. SIT. SITE. SITE. And then you have a SIGHT. something like this. When you have something like this, why do you worry yourself going to write a very long sentence? Maybe cite, the first one, cite. I have to cite references in my work, full stop. Number two, he has lost his sight. He has lost his sight, full stop. He has lost his sight, full stop. You don't need to go writing any long thing. Now, so as I was saying, consider these examples. Sight, and then fair. What you did is not fair. What you did is not fair. Then the lorry fare to Accra is 10 cities. Fair. Fair. The taxi fare was high. Then two and two. I went there to full stop. Two of us did the job. Full stop. Simple. So that is it about commonly confused words. I don't have much to say. I haven't discussed all that we did in class. Then I can only say, as far as commonly confused words are concerned, then I will say goodbye at this point. Now let's talk about sentences. Briefly, let's talk about sentences. How to combine sentences. We learned, we discussed at length type of sentences and type of clauses, whether it should be the simple sentence, the compound sentence, or the subordinate clause, and all those type of things. Now, what I want to talk about now is that these coordinates, they serve a purpose. They are not just picked randomly. What I observed was that most of our students just combine the sentences anyhow. In the examination, you are supposed to put sentences together to make sense. It should be meaningful. Now, we are going to string them together. It will be meaningful, but they are not just put in any order. It is a responsibility to read through the, the sentences, the set of sentences. Then you will know that this one must begin first, followed by this, followed by that. That is what you mean by being sensible. The whole thing should be meaningful. So we don't just string coordinators together anyhow. As a way of revision, note that and, for example, is used for what? It's used for addition. I like reading books and I enjoy writing stories. Now, I must mention that placing a comma before the conjunction, as you can see in this particular text, it is not mandatory, it's not compulsory, because Americans do this. In British English, you may not add the comma for the conjunction. But whether you add or not, it doesn't matter. And then but is for contrast. I wanted to go to the beach, but it was raining. Or used for alternatives. Do you want to go to the movies or stay home? So used for consequence or reason. I'm tired, so I'm going to bed. Yet used for contrast, often with a sense of surprise. Contrast, but with a sense of surprise. I'm tired, yet I'm going to finish this project. Surprise. Why surprise? Because the person is tired. So as a result of his tiredness, you're not expecting him or her, sorry, him to do the job or to continue to finish the job. So it counts with what? A surprise. used for contrast, often with a sense of surprise. Kofi is weak, yet he likes starting a fight. For useful to indicate reason or purpose. I'm going to the store for I need to buy some milk. So you see, if you are going to string ideas together, then the question you ask yourself is, are these things contrasting? Is it a consequence? Is there a choice between negatives? I don't like coffee, nor do I like tea. One of the things you must observe is that after every conjunction, there should be a verb. If it is not so, then your sentence is not correct. After every conjunction, there must be a verb. I like reading books and I enjoy. I wanted to go to the beach, but it was raining. Do you want to go to the movies or stay home? I'm tired, so I am going. I am is a verb. I am is a verb. I'm tired, so I am going to bed. I'm tired, yet I am going to finish. I am going to finish. It's a verb. It's a verb. I'm going to the store for I need. I need. So if you just suppose sentences and then after a conjunction there is no verb, then you probably are not right. You are writing something else, like you're writing a simple sentence, because if there is no verb after a conjunction, then it's not a compound sentence. Now, so just by way of revision, we did a lot of this already, but consider this: complex sentences. There are some conjunctions that work just in a particular sense. Let's say time. What are some of the things you see there? After, before, when? It's time. So the sentences you are combining, you don't have to do with time. Do you think you need time element? One thing happens, then another thing happens. So do I need time elements? Cause and effect. Cause and effect. Something happens, then there's an effect. Because, since, as, condition. If something happens, then something must happen or something must not happen. If, unless, provided that. So these are the just a few, because we have a large number of conjunctions that we discuss in class, and they cannot just be a few like this. However, this is just to help you revise. Now, so see, assuming that I have a sentence like this, everyone began to respect Kofi. Kofi was extremely rich. Kofi did not show off his wealth. Kofi donated a hospital to the community. What you must know is that the sentences that you are given to combine may not, you may not have to you may not have to arrange them in the order in which you see the question. So what it means is that you are supposed to read the set of sentences, read through the set of sentences and see how you can arrange it so that it will be meaningful. It will be sensible, so to speak. Excuse me. And yes, you see, there are cases where people put ideas together and the ideas don't sound sweet. So if you look at this carefully, everyone began to respect Kofi. Kofi was extremely rich. Kofi did not show off his wealth. Kofi donated a hospital to the community. So maybe when you read through, you might be thinking, everyone began to respect Kofi. No, Kofi was extremely rich. Maybe that could be the first one. Kofi did not show off his wealth. Maybe I will place that as second. Then he donated a hospital to the community. I will place that as the third. And then everyone began to respect Kofi. Now you don't need to always use conjunctions. You can also use commas, punctuation marks to connect ideas. There may be at a particular point where a punctuation mark will be more appropriate. Then go for it. Or a place where the uh, conjunctions will be more appropriate. You can use them. So let's look at these two sentences. Although Kofi was rich, he did not show off his not show off his sorry, it should be off, not show off his wealth. He donated a hospital to the community and everybody respected him. Or therefore everybody respected him. Everyone respected him. So in place of therefore, you can also use and. Choose anyone which is more appropriate for you and um, sounds meaningful and convenient. Although Kofi was rich, he did not show off his wealth. He donated the hospital to the community. So you can use so everyone respected him. Then let's look at the second one. Kofi was rich, but he did not show off his wealth until he donated a hospital. He donated a community a hospital. Of course, you can also say he donated a hospital to the community. It's not a big deal. Until he donated the community a hospital, and everyone began to respect him. Now, it's possible for you to combine this even about, you can get 3 or 4 set of combination from this. The only thing is, let it be meaningful to the extent that the ideas will not conflict. What you are saying should make sense. For example, how can you say, Kofi, although Kofi was rich, he did not show off his wealth, so he donated a hospital to the community. No, so doesn't work well. The so won't fit. So will not fit there. Now, in examination, you can use both coordinators or subordinators. You are not restricted. Or you can use the combination of them. That thing should be emphasized. Should be so you can use any of them, provided that whatever you are writing will be meaningful. Now, so I think I will just end the discussion on sentences here. Let's talk about morphemes. Morphemes. You are going to be given words so that you can split them down into the smallest unit. What you will do is to always try to identify the roots. If you're able to identify the root, then it's easy for you to be able to split the word to identify the various morphemes. Ask yourself, is this the smallest unit I can get in splitting this word? Then remember the derivational morphemes, the inflectional morphemes. Try to split them to the extent that we can assign meaning to each of the units that you've gotten, or each of the morphemes. If you cannot assign meaning, then there is no need for you to break a word down into that particular unit. The basis for the splitting is meaning. And then we did a lot of discussion in class, and so I know it's not going to be difficult for you Uh, there are also these um, irregular types of morphemes. For example, you have something like uh, et, ate, et. They have asked you to analyze it. He ate banku. Et, how are you going to split it? Et should be the root, which is eat plus maybe past tense, or eat plus ed, based on how you want to present it. Then, assuming you have something like um, other irregular forms like eaten, eaten, it should be what? Eat plus en, or spoken, spoken, eat, sorry, speak plus, speak plus past participle, or speak plus en. Assuming you have something like children, you will not say child plus ren. No, it doesn't work. It should be child plus plural, or child plus s. So that's how we analyze some of these things. Assuming I give you something like poorest, poorest, I think it should be poor plus superlative, or poor plus est. In that case, that one works for you. It can work because of the nature of the word. Otherwise, it should be poor plus superlative. Assuming you have something like poorer, you can say poor plus comparative, or maybe poor plus er. That can also work then. If you have something like um, let's say something like took, then it should be take plus past, or take plus ed. And I think these things are not difficult. Those are some of the things that you may see. So I will just end this discussion of morphemes along this line. Referring to word formation processes, word formation processes is just a process. It's a matter of just naming the process. For example, you see something like pot belly. What is the name? What process forms the word pot belly? You don't need to write anything. The only thing you put there is maybe if pot belly is a noun, or blend, or clipping, just put the answer there. Do not go writing anything. The instruction is very simple. What is the name? What process is used in forming this particular word? It's very simple. If it is three, say three. If it is gun, say gun. If it's clipping, say clipping. What process? In other words, name the process that is used in creating a particular word. Go straight to mention that, but only that remember to number your answers. That is all. That is all. Name a process. Nobody is asking you to split anything there. No. Name a process. The process is clipping. The process is what do you call it? Borrowing. The process is derivation. The process is conversion. So just put the answer there. That is all. And I think that with this, you don't have any difficulty at all. Revise your notes. Revise your notes. The very things that you discuss in class, you see similar things in exam. It is not a case that you are going to see the same word or the same question or that it is no, but similar things. So I don't see anybody who will complain that he or she cannot pass this paper. I hope that everybody will pass, and I'll be expecting that if you have any difficulty, you can talk to me by WhatsApp, or you can communicate with me. And always remember to subscribe to this channel, because there may be other tutorials which I may not send to you by sending you the link. You may have to subscribe to the channel, then you can see them anytime we upload. Thank you very much, and I wish you well.